Hey guys, for today's video, I'm going to be reading the YouTube Terms of Service. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I know most people just really don't take the time to read the Terms of Service or the privacy policy for YouTube or really for any other website. Anyway, so I thought I would read that today. Alright, so here's the Terms of Service for YouTube. 1. Your acceptance. A. By using or visiting the YouTube website or any YouTube products, software, data feeds, and services provided to you on, from, or through the YouTube website, collectively the service, you signify your agreement to 1. These terms and conditions, the terms of service, 2. Google's privacy policy, found at https://www.youtube.ca/t/privacy and incorporated herein by reference, and 3. YouTube's community guidelines, found at https://www.youtube.ca/t/community_guidelines and also incorporated herein by reference. If you do not agree to any of these terms, the Google privacy policy, or the community guidelines, please do not use the service. B. Although we may attempt to notify you when major changes are made to these terms of service, you should periodically review the most up-to-date version. https://www.youtube.ca/t/terms. YouTube may, in its sole discretion, modify or revise these terms of service and policies at any time, and you agree to be bound by such modifications or revisions. Nothing in these terms of service shall be deemed to confer any third-party rights or benefits. 2. Service. A. These terms of service apply to all users of the service, including users who are also contributors of content on the service. Content includes the text, software, scripts, graphics, photos, sounds, music, videos, audio-visual combinations, interactive features, and other materials you may view on, access through, or contribute to the service. The service includes all aspects of YouTube, including but not limited to all products, software, and services offered via the YouTube website, such as the YouTube channels, the YouTube embeddable player, the YouTube uploader, and other applications. B. The service may contain links to third-party websites that are not owned or controlled by YouTube. YouTube has no control over and assumes no responsibility for the content, privacy policies, or practices of any third-party websites. In addition, YouTube will not and cannot censor or edit the content of any third-party site. By using the service, you expressly relieve YouTube from any and all liability arising from your use of any third-party website. C. Accordingly, we encourage you to be aware when you leave the service and to read the terms and conditions and privacy policy of each other website that you visit. 3. YouTube accounts. A. In order to access some features of the service, you will have to create a YouTube or Google account. You may never use another's account without permission. When creating your account, you must provide accurate and complete information. You are solely responsible for the activity that occurs on your account, and you must keep your account password secure. You must notify YouTube immediately of any breach of security or unauthorized use of your account. B. Although YouTube will not be liable for your losses caused by any unauthorized use of your account, you may be liable for the losses of YouTube or others due to such unauthorized use. 4. General use of the service, permissions, and restrictions. YouTube hereby grants you permission to access and use the service as set forth in these terms of service, provided that A. You agree not to distribute in any medium any part of the service or the content without YouTube's prior written authorization, unless YouTube makes available the means for such distribution through functionality offered by the service, such as the embeddable player. B. You agree not to alter or modify any part of the service. C. You agree not to access content through any technology or means other than the video playback pages of the service itself, the embeddable player, or other explicitly authorized means YouTube may designate. D. You agree not to use the service for any of the following commercial uses unless you obtain YouTube's prior written approval. The sale of access to the service. The sale of advertising, sponsorships, or promotions placed on or within the service or content, or the sale of advertising, sponsorships, or promotions on any page of an ad-enabled blog or website containing content delivered via the service, unless other material not obtained from YouTube appears on the same page and is of sufficient value to be the basis for such sales. E. Prohibited commercial uses do not include uploading an original video to YouTube or maintaining an original channel on YouTube to promote your business or artistic enterprise, showing YouTube videos through the embeddable player on an ad-enabled blog or website subject to the advertising restrictions set forth above in Section 4D, or any use that YouTube expressly authorizes in writing. For more information about what constitutes a prohibited commercial use, see our FAQ. F. If you use the embeddable player on your website, you may not modify, build upon, or block any portion or functionality of the embeddable player, including but not limited to links back to the YouTube website. G. If you use the YouTube uploader, you agree that it may automatically download and install updates from time to time from YouTube. These updates are designed to improve, enhance, and further develop the uploader, and may take the form of bug fixes, enhanced functions, new software modules, and completely new versions. You agree to receive such updates and permit YouTube to deliver these to you as part of your use of the uploader. H. You agree not to use or launch any automated system, including without limitation, robots, spiders, or offline readers, that accesses the service in a manner that sends more request messages to the YouTube servers in a given period of time than a human can reasonably produce in the same period by using a conventional online web browser. Notwithstanding the foregoing, YouTube grants the operators of public search engines permission to use spiders to copy materials from the site for the sole purpose of, and solely to the extent necessary, for creating publicly available searchable indices of the materials, but not caches or archives for such materials. YouTube reserves the right to revoke these exceptions, either generally or in specific cases. You agree not to collect or harvest any personal identifiable information, including account names, from the service, nor to use the communication systems provided by the service, example, comments or email, for any commercial solicitation purposes. You agree not to solicit for commercial purposes any users of the service with respect to their content. I. In your use of the service, you will comply with all applicable laws. J. YouTube reserves the right to discontinue any aspect of the service at any time. 5. Your use of content. In addition to the general restrictions above, the following restrictions and conditions apply specifically to your use of content. A. The content on the service and the trademarks, service marks, and logos, marks on the service are owned by or licensed to YouTube, subject to copyright and other intellectual property rights under the law. B. Content is provided to you as is. You may access content for your information and personal use solely as intended through the provided functionality of the service and as permitted under these terms of service. You shall not download any content unless you see a download or similar link displayed by YouTube on the service for that content. You shall not copy, reproduce, distribute, transmit, broadcast, display, sell, license, or otherwise exploit any content for any other purposes without the prior written consent of YouTube or the respective licensors of the content. YouTube and its licensors reserve all rights not expressly granted in and to the service and the content. C. You agree not to circumvent, disable, or otherwise interfere with security-related features of the service or features that prevent or restrict use or copying of any content or enforce limitations on use of the service or the content therein. D. You understand that when using the service, you will be exposed to content from a variety of sources, and that YouTube is not responsible for the accuracy, usefulness, safety, or intellectual property rights of or relating to such content. You further understand and acknowledge that you may be exposed to content that is inaccurate, offensive, indecent, or objectionable, and you agree to waive, and hereby do waive, any legal or equitable rights or remedies you have or may have against YouTube with respect thereto and to the extent permitted by applicable law. Agree to indemnify and hold harmless YouTube, its owners, operators, affiliates, licensors, and licenses to the fullest extent allowed by law regarding all matters related to your use of the service. 6. Your content and conduct. A. As a YouTube account holder, you may submit content to the service, including videos and user comments. You understand that YouTube does not guarantee any confidentiality with respect to any content you submit. B. You shall be solely responsible for your own content and the consequences of submitting and publishing your content on the service. You affirm, represent, and warrant that you own or have the necessary licenses, rights, consents, and permissions to publish content you submit, and you license to YouTube all patent, trademark, trade secret, copyright, or other proprietary rights in and to such content for publication on the service, pursuant to these terms of service. C. For clarity, you retain all of your ownership rights in your content. However, by submitting content to YouTube, you hereby grant YouTube a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free, sub-licensable, and transferable license to use, reproduce, distribute, prepare derivative works of, display, and perform the content in connection with the service and YouTube's and its successors and affiliates' business, including without limitation, for promoting and redistributing part or all of the service and derivative works thereof in any media formats and through any media channels. You also hereby grant each user of the service and non-exclusive license to access your content through the service and to use, reproduce, distribute, display, and perform such content as permitted through the functionality of the service and under these terms of service. The above licenses granted by you in video content you submit to the service terminate within a commercially reasonable time after you remove or delete your videos from the service. You understand and agree, however, that YouTube may retain but not display, distribute, or perform server copies of your videos that have been removed or deleted. The above licenses granted by you in user comments you submit are perpetual and irrevocable. D. You further agree that content you submit to the service will not contain third-party copyrighted material or material that is subject to other third-party proprietary rights, unless you have permission from the rightful owner of the material or you are otherwise legally entitled to post the material and to grant YouTube all of the license rights granted herein. E. You further agree that you will not submit to the service any content or other material that is contrary to the YouTube community guidelines currently found at https://www.youtube.ca/t/community_guidelines, which may be updated from time to time, or contrary to applicable local, national, and international laws and regulations. F. YouTube will process any audio or audiovisual content uploaded by you to the service in accordance with the YouTube data processing terms. www.youtube.com/t/terms_data processing, except in cases where you upload such content for personal purposes or household activities. Learn more here. support.google.com/youtube/question p=data_applicability. G. YouTube does not endorse any content submitted to the service by any user or other licensor, or any opinion, recommendation, or advice expressed therein, and YouTube expressly disclaims any and all liability in connection with content. YouTube does not permit copyright infringing activities and infringement of intellectual property rights on the service, and YouTube will remove all content if properly notified that such content infringes on another's intellectual property rights. YouTube reserves the right to remove content without prior notice. 7. Account termination policy. A. YouTube will terminate a user's access to the service if, under appropriate circumstances, the user is determined to be a repeat infringer. B. YouTube reserves the right to decide whether content violates these terms of service for reasons other than copyright infringement, such as, but not limited to, pornography, obscenity, or excessive length. YouTube may at any time, without prior notice and in its sole discretion, remove such content and/or terminate a user's account for submitting such material in violation of these terms of service. Now, they actually made a typo here. This is the first typo that I've come across. It should say users, but it actually says users with a U on the end. 8. Copyright policy. A. YouTube operates a clear copyright policy in relation to any content alleged to infringe the copyright of a third party. Details of that policy can be found here. https://www.youtube.ca/t/copyright_notice. B. As part of YouTube's copyright policy, YouTube will terminate user access to the website if a user has been determined to be a repeat infringer. A repeat infringer is a user who has been notified of infringing activity more than twice. 9. Warranty disclaimer. You agree that your use of the service shall be at your sole risk. To the fullest extent permitted by law, YouTube, its officers, directors, employees, and agents disclaim all warranties express or implied in connection with the services and your use thereof. YouTube makes no warranties or representations about the accuracy or completeness of this site's content or the content of any sites linked to this site, and assumes no liability or responsibility for any 1. Errors, mistakes, or inaccuracies of content. 2. Personal injury or property damage of any nature whatsoever resulting from your access to and use of our services. 3. Any unauthorized access to or use of our secure servers and/or any and all personal information and/or financial information stored therein. 4. Any interruption or cessation of transmission to or from our services. Alright, so I've just come across a second typo. Now, I just read IV or for, and the next section is also IV or for. I'm just going to zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. As you can see, it says IV, which is what I just read, and then after that is IV again. 4. Any bugs, viruses, Trojan horses, or the like which may be transmitted to or through our services by any third party and/or. 5. Any errors or omissions in any content or for any loss or damage of any kind incurred as a result of the use of any content posted, emailed, transmitted, or otherwise made available via the services. YouTube does not warrant, endorse, guarantee, or assume responsibility for any product or service advertised or offered by a third party through the services or any hyperlinked services or featured in any banner or other advertising, and YouTube will not be a party to or in any way responsible for monitoring any transaction between you and third-party providers of products or services. As with the purchase of a product or service through any medium or in any environment, you should use your best judgment and exercise caution where appropriate. 10. Limitation of liability. In no event shall YouTube, its officers, directors, employees, or agents be liable to you for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, punitive, or consequential damages whatsoever resulting from any 1. Errors, mistakes, or inaccuracies of content. 2. Personal injury or property damage of any nature whatsoever resulting from your access to and use of our services. 3. Any unauthorized access to or use of our secure servers and or any and all personal information and or financial information stored therein. 4. Any interruption or cessation of transmission to or from our services. 4. Any bugs, viruses, Trojan horses, or the like which may be transmitted to or through our services by any third party and or 5. Any errors or omission in any content or for any loss or damage of any kind incurred as a result of your use of any content posted, emailed, transmitted, or otherwise made available via the services, whether based on warranty, contract, tort, or any other legal theory, and whether or not the company is advised of the possibility of such damages. The foregoing limitation of liability shall apply to the fullest extent permitted by law in the applicable jurisdiction. You specifically acknowledge that YouTube shall not be liable for content or the defamatory, offensive, or illegal conduct of any third party, and that the risk of harm or damage from the foregoing rests entirely with you. The service is controlled and offered by YouTube from its faculties in the United States of America. YouTube makes no representations that the service is appropriate or available for use in other locations. Those who access or use the service from other jurisdictions do so at their own violation and are responsible for compliance with local law. 11. Indemnity. To the extent permitted by applicable law, you agree to defend, indemnify, and hold harmless YouTube, its parent corporation, officers, directors, employees, and agents from and against any and all claims, damages, obligations, losses, liabilities, costs, or debt, and expenses including but not limited to attorney's fees arising from 1. Your use of and access to the service, 2. Your violation of any term of these terms of service. 3. Your violation of any third-party right, including without limitation any copyright, property, or privacy right. Or 4. Any claim that your content caused damage to a third party. This defense and indemnification obligation will survive these terms of service and your use of the service. 12. Ability to accept terms of service. You affirm that you are either more than 18 years of age, or an emancipated minor, or possess legal parental or guardian consent, and are fully able and competent to enter into the terms, conditions, obligations, affirmations, representations, and warranties set forth in these terms of service, and to abide by and comply with these terms of service. In any case, you affirm that you are over the age of 13, as the service is not intended for children under 13. If you are under 13 years of age, then please do not use the service. There are lots of other great websites for you. Talk to your parents about what sites are appropriate for you. 13. Assignment. These terms of service and the rights and licenses granted hereunder may not be transferred or assigned by you, but may be assigned by YouTube without restriction. 14. General. You agree that 1. The service shall be deemed solely based in California, and 2. The service shall be deemed a passive website that does not give rise to personal jurisdiction over YouTube, either specific or general, in jurisdictions other than California. These terms of service shall be governed by the internal substantive law of the state of California, without respect to its conflict of laws principles. Any claim or dispute between you and YouTube that arises in whole or in part from the service shall be decided exclusively by a court of competent jurisdiction located in Santa Clara County, California. These terms of service, together with the privacy notice at https://www.youtube.ca/t/privacy, and any other legal notices published by YouTube on the service shall constitute the entire agreement between you and YouTube concerning the service. If any provision of these terms of service is deemed invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the invalidity of such provision shall not affect the validity of the remaining provisions of these terms of service, which shall remain in full force and effect. No waiver of any term of these terms of service shall be deemed a further or continuing waiver for such term or any other term, and YouTube's failure to assert any right or provision under these terms of service shall not constitute a waiver of such right or provision. Alright, so I've just come across another typo. It says no waiver of any term of these terms of service. I'm just going to zoom in so that you guys can see this typo a little bit better. YouTube reserves the right to amend these terms of service at any time and without notice, and it is your responsibility to review these terms of service for any changes. Your use of the service followed by any amendment of these terms of service will signify your assent to and acceptance of its revised terms. You and YouTube agree that any cause of action arising out of or related to the services must commence within 1 year after the cause of action accrues. Alright, so here's another typo. It says 1 year after the cause of action accrues. I think it should be occurs. So the R and the U are backwards. Otherwise, such cause of action is permanently barred. And then at the bottom it says the date, which is May 25th of 2018. Alright, so that was the terms of service for YouTube.